Hello students, and welcome to the lecture. So students, as you can see here that basically in this lecture, we are going to start our discussion over the Mauryan Empire part 1. Okay. So if we talk about the Mauryan Empire, then it is in part of the ancient Indian history. It is just not only a important topic from the competitive exams point of view, but also important to learn about the historical evolution of Indian art, literature, governance, administration, and even the trade and military power. Because the Mauryan Empire had a great legacy and also having a great influence over the Indian developments that had taken place during the historical period. Basically, within this particular part of the Mauryan Empire, these all are the topics we are going to see. Like, we will start with the introduction to the Mauryan Empire. Then, we will discuss about the geographical extent and the major territories of the Mauryan Empire. We will discuss about the timeline of the Mauryan Empire. We will discuss about the Bindusar, thereafter the Ashoka, then early life and ascension of Ashoka, military campaigns of Ashoka, Ashoka conversion to Buddhism, promotion of Buddhism by Ashoka, edicts and inscription of Ashoka, administrative reforms by Ashoka, legacy of Ashoka, death and succession of Ashoka, purpose and distribution of edicts. So now, when you go through this index, the first question that comes in your mind is that here we have seen that there is a repetition of word Ashok, 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 Ashok. Then why we are repeating this word? Why? Because Mauryan Empire had several great rulers. Okay, like the founder, like the Bindusar, like Ashok and all. But mainly we talk about Ashok whenever we talk about the reference of Mauryan Empire. This is because of two main reasons. The first, the maximum history which have been revolved regarding the Mauryan Empire. That history is basically belong to the period of Samrat Ashok. Okay, or you can say that the historical records of Ashok only are the records that we have to recall the history of the Mauryan Empire. So that's why whatsoever we know about the Mauryan Empire, the majority of the things belong to Ashok. So that's why here we have repeated the word Ashok, Ashok, Ashok. So that is the first reason, the historical sources. Second is Ashok was also a great ruler of his dynasty. Okay, he was a great ruler of this dynasty. That's why also we consider him as an important part for the discussion. All right. Now, after finishing this index, we have a small disclaimer to think about or to discuss basically. So what does this disclaimer says? The images used in a slide deck are for educational purposes only. We respect the intellectual property rights of the original creators and the owners of these images. If you are the owner of any of the images used in this deck, have any concerns or issues, please contact us at sathee@iitk.ac.in and we shall remove the images. Okay. Now, first is the introduction to the Mauryan Empire. Okay. So if we talk about the Mauryan Empire, the first thing is that the Mauryan Empire was founded by Chandragupta Maurya in 322 BC. How did the Chandragupta Maurya founded the empire? We will see when we will talk about the timeline of the Mauryan Empire. Till then, just remember that Chandragupta Maurya was the person who founded this empire. Okay. Their capital initially was Pataliputra, that is modern day Patna, the capital of state of Bihar. Okay. Mauryan Empire known for its centralized administration and significant contribution to the Indian culture and governance. That's what I had told you in the starting. Why do we consider Mauryan Empire as an important part of the historical development of India? Because they had the contribution on two main areas of the Indian history, the culture and the governance. Okay. Now, if we talk about the geographical extent and the major territories. So basically, during its existence, the Mauryan Empire had control over a vast or the large part of the Indian subcontinent. Like you can see here, this is the Mauryan Empire map. It spanned over the Pakistan, Afghanistan, even parts of Middle East were under the control of Mauryan Empire. Here you can see the Bactrian Empire, and here was other Greek empires. Okay. The Mauryan Empire basically extended from present day Afghanistan, this one, and Pakistan, this one. From there to Bengal in the east. Like here you can see. Here remember, the area also covers the present day Bangladesh. Okay. Because on that time Bangladesh was a part of Indian territory. Alright. So that's why it was covered here also. In south, basically it's extend up to the state of Karnataka. Below this, there was a Iron Age chieftainships. It means that tribal groups were there. If we talk about the major territories that were holding by the Mauryan Empire during its peak. So the territories they were holding, these territories were Magad. Okay. Magad was somewhere there. Okay. Magad was the main core region. And Magad was the main kingdom where the capital Pataliputra falls in. From here, they control Gandhar in the present day Afghanistan region, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Bengal, and some parts of South India up to the Karnataka state. So all these were the main portion of the Mauryan Empire. From here, remember, the Magad was the main territory, Gandhar was the main territory, Avanti was the main territory, Ujjain was the main territory. In south, in the region of Karnataka, basically they having a famous place called Savarnagiri. Okay, and Savarnagiri were the main areas from where they had established their control. Okay, so remember this thing. If we talk about the timeline of the Mauryan dynasty, first starts with the Chandragupta Maurya, 322 to 298 BCE. Chandragupta Maurya was also the founder. So basically, we know he founded the empire. And how did he found? He founded the empire after defeating the Nanda dynasty. What is the significance of this? Let's understand. So basically what happened? The Mauryan Empire in the initial state was basically found in the region of Magad. That region. Okay. The Magad was basically under the control of Nanda dynasty. And Nanda dynasty was founded by Mahanand, and thereafter the Dhananand was the ruler of that place. Chandragupta Maurya, with the help of Chanakya, defeated the Dhananand. And after defeating and killing Dhananand, they established a new dynasty that was called as Mauryan dynasty. Got it? So that's how the Mauryan dynasty got founded. Thereafter, consolidated power in northern and the central India. So we can say when the Mauryan Empire was found. So basically, the central part and this part was divided into the various small kingdoms that's making a way for the intruders to come in and capture most of the Indian lands. Why? Because these empires were attacking on Magad, and this place was divided into the small kingdoms. So the Magad was not able to fight on the three fronts war, this, and this at the same time. So because of this, the one of the major invasion that taken place on that time was the Macedonian invasion. The Macedonians were basically coming from the Greek place, and the person who was leading them was name of Alexander the Great. Okay, so Alexander the Great was the founder of that Macedonian Empire, and they were the basic attackers that attacked the Indian territories under the leadership of Dharanan. And that's why when the Chandragupta Maurya came to the power, the first thing he was tasked to consolidate the power in northern and the central India so that the internal attacks could be checked on and even the outer territories could be fortified so that the outsiders could not let easily enter into the territory of India. But after passing of some years of his life as a ruler, eventually he renounced his throne. Okay, and he embraced the Jainism. Like in the previous lecture, when we were covering the Jainism, I had told you, or we had gone through basically. In Jainism, there is a principle of aparigraha. It means that the Jains do not believe to possess the materialistic things, and they believe that the salvation could only be achieved when you denounce your life, your throne, and your materialistic things. All right. So that's why the Chandragupta Maurya did the same thing because he converted to the Jainism and he wanted to embrace the Jainism. Okay. Remember, I had told you one of the important center of the Mauryan Empire that was Savanagiri. Okay. Savanagiri was located at the state of Karnataka. When he was in his later life, he went to the Savanagiri with some Jain monks and there he got died. Okay. So remember this thing. After the Chandragupta Maurya, the next ruler that we have to study about that was the Bindusar. Okay. If we talk about the Bindusar, remember, he succeeded Chandragupta Maurya around 298 BC. And remember, basically, he was the son of Chandragupta Maurya. Okay. When he came to the power, he followed the principle of his father, like consolidation and the expansion of the empire. But Chandragupta Maurya, his father, expanded and consolidated the empire in the north and the central parts. When he came power, he consolidated and expanded the empire further southwards. Okay. After expanding the empire up to the certain areas, he continued to expand it. He didn't stop. And he expanded it further southward. He is also well known for maintaining diplomatic relations with the Greek rulers, including the famous one was Seleucus first. Okay. So basically, this relationship was not started with the Bindusar, even it was started before him. When Chandragupta Maurya was the leader, again the Greeks were attacking the territories of India. But this time, because of the consolidation, the Indian territories were much powerful. And the Mauryan Empire managed to defeat the Greeks. But the advisor of Chanakya, the advisor of Chandragupta Maurya, not Chanakya. Chanakya was the advisor. He advises Chandragupta Maurya, just make a deal or the treaty with the Greeks. Okay. So as per the treaty, both the rulers, the Mauryan rulers and the Greek rulers, stationed their ambassador at each other's court, and the Hindu Kush, that is a mountain range in present day Afghanistan, that was decided as a boundary between the Indian Empire and the Greek Empire. The west of the Hindu Kush, the Greek Empire was there. East of the Hindu Kush, the Mauryan Empire was there. Okay. So when Bindusar came into the power after his father, he continued that policy of maintaining the diplomatic relations with the Greek rulers. Okay. And he was famously known in the Greeks as an Amitocrates. Okay. Amitocrates means the person who having arms up to the Jhelum river or up to the south. Because as we had seen here, when he came to the power, already he had a control of north and the central part, handed over to him from his father, but still he expanded the empire to the southern areas so that he could cover more things. After Bindusar, the next ruler was Ashok. Ashok came to the power in 268 to 232 BC. Okay. Now here you will see Bindusar renounced his throne in 272 BCE, but Ashok got the throne in 268 BC. It means there is a lap of 4 years. So what was happened during this time? Let me tell you. Basically, when the Bindusar renounced his throne, then Ashok was not the one whom the throne was to be handed over. Alright. So basically, he took the help of Radhagupta, who was the minister of Bindusar court, and he had to kill 99 of his brothers. Alright. And after killing 99 of his brothers, finally he able to capture the throne. Okay. So that's why it took him 4 years to get to the throne and then establish his own rule. And remember, Ashok is considered as the most powerful and most influential and important king of the Mauryan Empire or the Mauryan dynasty. Okay. So if we talk about this, then we can say Ashok is known for his conversion to Buddhism after the Kaling War, 261 BC. So basically, besides the Mauryan Empire, there was another important empire also, that was the Kaling Empire. Okay. Where the Mauryan Empire was mainly concentrated in present-day Bihar and Bengal, Kaling was majorly concentrated in present-day Odisha. Okay. So in order to expand his empire further, the Ashoka got into the conflict with the Kaling. But the Kaling Empire was not that much weak that the Mauryans could easily defeat. So that's why the Mauryan Empire, under the leadership of Ashok, had to increase their intensity of attacking the Kaling Empire. Finally, there was a time period of 261 BCE, 7 years after his accession to the throne. Ashoka succeeded to defeat the Kaling Empire. Okay. But this defeat changed him completely. How? Somehow he managed to defeat the powerful Kaling Empire, but the bloodshed, the deaths, the destruction that happened during the Kaling War, and after seeing this, Ashoka changed his mind and then he converted to the Buddhism. Okay? Because the Buddhism promotes the global peace and all. He converted to the Buddhism. Now, many times it is said that after the Kaling War, the Ashoka gave up the war and all. That is quite right. Like there was a policy of Bhari Gosha, the war policy, which the Ashok replaced with the Dharam Kosha. It means religious policy. So he changed his policy from war to religion. But he did not give up war. He is still maintaining a huge army. He is still having the power to fight and defeat. But he stopped initiating the wars for the expansion of his empire. That was he left. Alright. So remember this thing. Thereafter, as we know, After conversion to the Buddhism and after the Kaling War, he implemented those policies which were based on Dhamma or righteousness. And he even promoted the welfare measures. Okay. He sent various missions to different countries for the spreading of Buddhism, like Sri Lanka and Central Asia. He also built pillars and rock edicts across the empire so that he could spread his teachings, what he wanted to say with the people. If we talk about the early life and ascension of the Ashoka, then he was born around 304 BCE as a son of Emperor Bindusar and Queen Dharma. Initially, he known as Ashoka Maurya, and when he was younger, he was the Viceroy of Ujjain, that was major center of the Mauryan Empire. If we talk about the military campaigns, so during his initial days also, the Ashoka conducted the several military campaigns so that he could expand the empire. And he was well known for his efficient administration and military prowess. Like as we had discussed, that Ashoka considered as the one of the most powerful ruler of the Mauryan dynasty. Okay. His campaigns, including the famous conquest of Kaling, okay, modern day Odisha, as we have discussed, in 261 BC. And basically, the Kaling was powerful empire, so does the Ashoka. And then we know there was a devastating war that caused a huge destruction in terms of life and property, and even the major people get displaced. And that's how the Ashoka changed his mind of attacking and ruling. Thereafter, if we talk about the Ashoka conversion to the Buddhism. So remember, the brutalities of the Kaling War deeply affected Ashoka, leading him to embrace the Buddhism. Like as I have told you, the Ashoka had an ambition to expand the empire further. The Kaling Empire was basically a, you can say, the hurdle or the barricade to stop the Ashoka ambition of expanding further. And even the Kaling Empire was very much powerful. Ashoka, in ambition of expanding further, launched an attack over the Kaling Empire. He managed to defeat the Kaling Empire, but because the two powerful powers were at the war on that time, so that's why there was a huge casualties and what we call as a brutalities. And after seeing this, the Ashoka basically got deeply affected and deeply sad, and then he chose the way of world peace and he converted into the Buddhism, like the picture you can see over here also. He adopted Buddhism as his personal faith and became an staunch advocate for non-violence, compensation, and moral principle. Remember, here he did not give up war. Okay, he avoided war, but he did not give up war. Remember this thing. Thereafter, his promotion of Buddhism. So Ashoka actively promoted the Buddhism throughout his empire, and even he went through the empire and beyond of it. He sent the Buddhist missionaries to the various regions, including the Sri Lanka, Nepal, and even to the Hellenistic kingdoms in the west that were also known as Greek kingdoms. Edicts and inscriptions, if we talk about, Ashoka's teaching and policies were basically inscribed on the pillars and the rocks throughout his empire. These inscriptions, known as the Ashoka Edicts, and basically what Dhamma policies and the principles of righteousness the Ashoka had adopted. All these were mentioned on these pillars and all, so that his Dhamma was basically getting propagated. In his Dhamma, the Ashoka urging to conduct the ethical ways and maintain the social harmony. administrative reforms. Implemented a series of administrative reforms that were based on Dhamma, emphasizing the justice, welfare of the people, and also he wanted a human governance. He established various hospitals, the wells, and the rest houses for the travels as the part of his welfare measures. If we talk about the legacy of Ashok, then remember, he is often called as Ashoka the Great, Ashok Mahan or Chakravarti Ashok Samrat. Ashok region is considered as a turning point in the Indian history. Why? Because Ashok was the main patron of the Buddhist religion that not only helped in strengthening the religion but also influences the social cultural fabric of India through his policies. His edicts provide the valuable insights into the ancient Indian society, the governance, and even the moral philosophy that the people had. If we talk about the death of Ashoka and his successor, so Ashok ruled until his death in 232 BCE. After his death, Mauryan Empire began to decline because of various internal and the external factors. And then eventually it got fragmented into the various small kingdoms. If we talk about the Ashok 14 rock edicts, so what was the purpose and distribution of this? So these were inscribed on rocks caves throughout the Mauryan Empire, primarily in the areas like the state of Gujarat, the Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, and the Andhra Pradesh. It was written in Prakrit language and the script was Brahmi, but some of the edicts were also in the Greek and the Aramaic, so that the diverse subject of that place, the diverse people of these places would be understanding what the Ashok wanted to say. So students, basically in this lecture, we have finished the part 1. In part 2, we will see the other topics of the Mauryan and post-Mauryan period. Till then, you all are requested to revise the facts and figures that all we have discussed in this lecture and keep yourself ready for the next lecture. With this note, we are going to end this lecture and thank you.